And we are live.
Welcome to the greatest show on earth.
I'm so mean, I make medicine sick. That's bad.
This is combat culture.
And are we live? I hope we're live. Yes, we are. Good morning, ladies, gentlemen, everyone in attendance. You already know what it is. This is Combat Culture Africa, episode 2 of the podcast of the rejigged, redefined, re-evolved, re-everything podcast. And on the show today is none other than the CEO slash founder of the African Warriors Fighting Championship, a man known as Maxwell Kalu. He's not online yet, but I figured we should just hop right in and do the introductions. As I say that, I just see his outline up here. And by the magic of technology, he's joining us in the studio. So this morning, we're going to talk about the rise of Dambe, indigenous and local martial arts, and just how all of this has come together in the past, let's say, 5 to 10 years. Because the rise that these guys have put on, the trail that they've put on, I haven't seen anything like that with regards to indigenous combat sports. And yeah, so I'm just going to start doing, now that the basic introductions are done, why don't I? Hello, Mr. Maxwell. Good morning.
Morning.
Oh, that's see that voice, that beautiful baritone. How you doing this morning, man?
Yeah, I'm very good, my man. How are you, bro?
Yeah, I can't complain, my G. I can't complain. I'm trying to set up our stream. Just give me a second. I'm getting us. I need to get you. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. So, how's your Sunday morning? How's the life of a businessman, CEO, founder, African Warriors promoter? How's your weekend? How's your weekend been?
Man, pretty boring weekend, which is what I like, man. When we're constant, we do a lot of traveling for events and everything. So when you now find a weekend where you can just chill and eat some pancakes, you take it. So nothing too crazy this weekend at all. How are
Yeah, I
things?
love
How are
that.
you doing, man?
Man, I've had maybe the before I say what I'm about to say, shout outs to pancakes, by the way. I haven't had pancakes I haven't had pancakes since your show, the show I commentated for you, because they gave me pancakes. I bought pancakes from the vendors. So that was the last time I had pancakes. Shout outs to you. Yeah. But I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Just putting the podcast out there, pushing combat sports, doing my own side hustle, staying focused. You know the usual now. We know they sleep.
As always, man, the hustle doesn't stop. The hustle doesn't stop.
It never. All right, my G. So I'm just gonna hop right into it. It's not like it's super formal or anything. You're already my guy, so there's no too much
Of
formality to
course.
be observed. So we're gonna start with this first question. Reintroduce yourself. Last time we had you on the show was 4 years ago or so. You prophesied a
Wow.
lot of things that have happened. No, I don't think it's 4 years. 2 years. 2 years. I exaggerate time a lot, but you've done a lot in that time, and I think it's time people you reintroduce to people to who Maxwell Kalu is.
Okay. Allow me to reintroduce my. So who is Maxwell? So yeah, Maxwell Kalu, founder, CEO of the African Warriors Fighting Championship. So I'm just a guy who loves combat sports. I think at my core, I'm just a fan. I love the art of fighting. I appreciate that. I've always loved it. From when I was really young, I did karate. Then I went on to do kickboxing. I'm not pretending at a high level, but like I got a good feel for it. I understand it. I love the game.
Oh, beautiful.
so sort of that love of the game really now took me to here, took me to where we are now. And that it was like me as a fan, I appreciate this thing. And then I just started looking into the business of it. I started looking, under the hood and trying to understand what's really going on here and what the opportunities here. And then that's how I decided on African Warriors. Like, I have a background in sort of corporate communication, so working with brands and individuals to build themselves, build their reputations, build their brands. And then objectively, I just found myself looking, and this was it, I was in London at the time, looking at Africa, thinking there's a real gap in terms of a strong, proudly African combat sports brand. And that very much speaks to me, in that a big part of my personality has always been that combat sports piece, which I spoke about, but a love for my heritage. So yeah, African Warriors, I guess. You asked me who's at Maxwell, and I'm talking about African Warriors. I think that hints into sort of how I see myself, and that the business and myself are very much one and the same in many cases, for better and for worse. But yeah, I'm just a guy who loves combat sports, who is trying to change the conversation when it comes to African combat sports and put Africa on the map when it comes to combat sports.
You know why this is interesting is because you still had this level of confidence and charisma the first time we spoke, but you've enhanced it. This is a lot more refined. This Maxwell is a lot more dialed in. I like the clarity with which you're stating your purpose. You're trying to change the conversation, and it's not just about indigenous combat sports. It's not just about Dambe. It's about combat sports from the continent as a whole. And I looked at your WhatsApp this morning. It said "The Man in the Arena," and that's one of my favorite poems of all time. And as soon as I saw that, because it takes a mindset to do what you're trying to do, and not very many people. I have a theory. I call it the Alexander the Great gene. It's like some guys, they're just never content with the box that their society or that their time has put.
What are you gonna do? Put me in an office?
Some guys
do
can't
what?
just take it. But yeah, man, that's it. Some people aren't built for the office. In fact, you could argue no one is built for the office, but yeah, that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, man, thank you for saying that. Thank you for pointing that. There are many things I want to dig into before we even go to the next question, which is, you said that you have your original background is in what exactly? Please recap that for me.
My professional background, you mean?
Yes, professional background. Yeah. Yes.
So I studied politics at university, and then I went on into corporate PR.
Politics and corporate PR. So corporate PR now, like something I encounter in my day-to-day with mostly with MMA fighters and boxers, is most guys lack representation. Like they don't even know that they need representation, or that they need somebody to tell them how to speak, how to conduct themselves, how to handle interviews. And that's something that I've seen with your sport, especially when you guys came to Abuja. It was so obvious that there was an added detail given to polish, like just making sure that things look right, things appear right. It's not just about having fights. It's about how the entire packaging of it. And I don't know, maybe your experience as somebody who is a professional packager, somebody that makes things look and sound good. I don't know if that bleeds into how you run Stake, because I noticed I've worked with a lot of founders, like for combat sports organizations, small and medium, and everybody has a different leadership style, but most guys I find in this space are very hands-on. Like they want to be, they know where this is. They are the ones that they don't delegate very likely. They do almost everything themselves. And you fall into that bracket. So I don't know, can you just talk about like your mindsets, like everything, just because it takes a lot to do what you do, and that's what I'm curious about right now.
Yeah. I think it takes a lot. You have to be involved. I think the nature of doing business in Nigeria, let's not forget that, right? Like Nigeria forces you to be hands-on as a founder, and I have friends who are founders outside of combat sports, founders outside of sports, full stop, and the level of hands-on it takes, or you have to be as a founder in Nigeria, it's just the nature of the environment we exist in. And equally, yes, I'm a guy who likes to get stuck in. It's one of those things, right? You always have to find a balance in that. It's probably not the best use of my time arguing about how many sandbags we have in the arena. But sometimes you just have to get stuck in. So I'm really excited about, we're building a team, a sort of great team to share that load, and sort of we're very much on that journey. But ultimately, I love this thing, and as I said, I came in as a fan, so it's a labor of love in terms of building this thing, of putting it together. In terms of the packaging, as you mentioned, there's always more to do. As I said, we see African Warriors being a global African combat sports brand. So there are definitely standards that we need to meet in terms of presentation and everything. And I'm not going to pretend here that I think we're even all the way there here. It's always a work in progress. But we're making those small steps. We constantly want to, showcase the organization, showcase our warriors in the best of lights. And yeah, we're moving and we're building towards that. So I appreciate that, though. I'm happy you've noticed something at least.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's no need hiding it now. I work with you guys, so I can give the crowd an extra perspective that isn't native to what you guys have on your social media. And yeah, so far it's good. So thank you for that. All right, so I'm
give us
right
the unfiltered take. How has it been working with us so far?
All right, you know what I'm going to do while I'm answering you. I'm going to put up the second question on the screen so that you start preparing your mind for it. So your question to me is, how was it working with you guys? How unfiltered do you want me to be? Me and you sit down and drink beer and eat fish together. So I should go for it.
Talk.
Oh yeah, now make I talk. Okay, so African Warriors. First things first. I'll give you the negatives. First things first was the technical issues on the night. So the replay, lack of replay.
That wasn't on me, but it's my organization, so it's on me.
Yes,
we had technical difficulties, but Buck stops here. Next event, I promise you, we're not going to have these difficulties. Heads have rolled. Heads will continue to roll.
Oh my guy, they swear. See, I never even finished the first sentence, so you don't already start the raise hand. But yeah, and obviously, like me and you have talked about this in private. The reason why that stands out to me is because it affects how I have to approach the night. You approach the night thinking, I'm going to do 15-minute fights, split up into 5-minute breaks, walkouts, replay, this and that. That's the kind of flow you have in your mind. But then you just come and then they tell you have to rap a whole album for 6 hours straight. So that's why that one stands out. But then that's the main thing. The next thing is positives. Positives is I like how unchanged things are. I had a lot of people meet me after that show to say, yo, why don't we put it inside a boxing ring? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And like, why are there raps like this? Now, the raps I can understand because I hope, Maxwell, I hope that you are planning on revolutionizing Dambe hand wraps. Like, I hope you are going to do that. Like, just putting it out there. So I'm not even going to be
some stuff in the pipeline.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. So that one, I know that one. There's nothing to worry about there. But then, with regards to changing the sport, that's the thing I love you guys did not do. Like, I like that the drummers are featured prominently. I like that the fighters wrap their hands in view of the audience. I like that it's that after the fights are done, they still walk through the crowd. I mean, that's their way of soliciting support and whatnot. But it's the way it's done traditionally, and those were all the positives, man. I like how authentic it is. So even people that were telling me, "Oh, that why are we?" Because like there was this guy that had the big shorts, like his shorts were like bulging at the back with all his charms that were inside his waist. Charms, I'm assuming. So people were like, "Why would you let them wear stuff like that?" And I'm like, "Yo, that's the way it's done locally. Like, it's not meant to appeal to you. It's who they are." And I just like how pure all of that is.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair take. I think the we revel in the culture around the sport of Dambe. It's it's very much key to our identity as a brand, as a business, in that we have this beautiful sport that's been here for thousands of years, and there have changes we've had to make, things like round times, things like updating the rule set and sort of properly communicating those things. But then equally, there are things that keep this sport what it is. And I think I said this before when we were on the podcast before, those years ago. If you want to go and watch boxing, you can go and watch boxing. If you want to go and watch MMA, you can go and watch MMA.
I love that.
I'm a fan of both. I watch both all the time. But what we're trying to make you understand is the goal isn't to be, African boxing light or MMA. This is Dambe. This is what this sport is. So of course, there are things to package, there are things to update, there are things to tweak. But ultimately, the fundamental premise of this is two men fighting on sand with their hands wrapped up in rope, trying to knock each other out, whilst drummers play in the background, singing songs that urge them on. And then if there's an additional flavor of some charms, of some things that they hold close to them, that's fair enough and that's allowed. My own thing is give you a fair fight, give you the platform, the biggest platform to do your business on, do your fighting on. But ultimately, I'm not in the business of going in to regulate this and that. So yeah, like Dambe is what it is, and it's a beautiful sport. It's a violent sport. It's a sport steeped in culture, and I think there's something in celebrating that more than anything.
I love that, man, bro. Just can't teach me how to speak English now. I feel learned like from under you.
Just English, I get, bro.
And small sense. Let's give you small sense. Yeah, small. Okay, but I think that you've already hit the second point on the head. I think, but why don't you drill a little deeper into how the rule sets? I'm curious to know what you faced with regards to regulation in Nigeria. I know that the government. I don't know. What are your experiences with regulation? What are your experiences with crafting the rule set the way you did? I know it's three 3-minute rounds, 1 minute rest in between, a knockout counts as a victory. But how did you come up with that? Like, what was even the process? Did you have to do any consulting with guys on the ground? Who were your stakeholders, or is it just your vision and then you brought it to life? Like, just illuminate that, please.
The King of Warriors event that you joined our commentary team for, our last event, that's one of our big events, and we have another big event coming up in January, which we've spoken about. But what people sometimes don't understand is we're in the arena constantly. So how African Warriors works is we have a system of we have a network of partner camps across Nigeria. So all of the big Dambe arenas. What it's slightly different to MMA or boxing or whatever, in that Dambe, as a traditional sport, fights happen every single day, Monday to Sunday. In these arenas, people come and they pay money to watch their favorite fighters. So we have a presence there all the time. So what that means is we're watching fights every single day. So we're understanding the nuances of the sport. We're understanding who are the fighters to watch. We're understanding what works well and what do we need to tweak when it comes to doing our bigger shows. So when it comes to the rule set, we just watched and noticed and just realized, look, there are times when things will happen. A fighter will slip over, and by traditional Dambe rules, as soon as your hand touches the ground, the fight is over. And that's regardless of if it's a slip, if it's a push, whatever. And I just found it annoying, man, because I'm here watching a fight. I'm watching Altan Dambunza fighting against Garakoan Chindo Jr. And I'm seeing two warriors who I need to see this full fight. I need to see this finish. I need to see the knockout that both of these guys are capable of. I need to see the evasive movement that both of these guys are capable of. And it just ends with a bit of a wet fart because somebody trips over. So then thinking was, okay, how can we build on this? How can we give the spectators more in terms of what they're watching? How can we give the fighters the best chance in terms of showcasing themselves? And that's how we now thought, okay, let's do 3-minute rounds, because before there weren't really set rounds. Fights would just stop when the crowd got bored, when the fighters got bored, or when the organizer was just like, okay, next fight. So that doesn't work for a broadcast product. It doesn't work in terms of allowing people to, tune in and understand what they're watching. So that was the first thing. And then with the rule set, it was just like, let's really articulate what it means to actually go down. So a push doesn't count because that's not a kill in the Dambe sense. So what we now have is best of three, pretty much, in that you go in, you start your first round, Maxwell versus Jollof. Jollof, you hit me with a nice shot, I go down. It's not a knockout, it's just a flash knockdown. We now proceed to the next round. I come back, I hit you with the same shot. You go down. We now proceed to the third round. So we've got that excitement. People are watching going, wow, this my guy, just put this guy down. But I see this guy just came back. So it's just adding to the tension. It's adding to the drama of the event. And then you have that third round. You're going in. Both fighters are raring to go. The musicians have just told them, look, you've won the second round. He won the first round. Winner of this round is the big king going forward. Boom, you get a knockout, fight finishes. So it's just enabling us to really do something or give the viewers something in terms of an exciting broadcast product, giving the fighters the best opportunity to showcase their skills. Because I've literally seen Dambe fighters cry when he slipped over and he now lost the big fight. He did this and now lost the big fight. So you see how frustrating it is for them. So yeah, that's how we sort of decided on the rule set, and that was working with our partners in the arenas, working with the consultation of the fighters, coaches, referees, or officials. And then yeah, that's where we decided and got to the African Warriors rule set.
Okay, permit me, man. I'm trying to sort out this. I'm having some. I'm listening to you, and I'm figuring out how to get you. Yeah, this is what I was trying to do. I was trying to get you featured prominently, so your handsome face is shown on the screen. Man, bro, it sounds like a lot of work because you have to. For me now, I'm trying to think about it from the broadcast perspective and bringing it down to the individual, like, because you're trying to think about how people are going to consume your product. And if you're having to balance the excitement value versus the marketability of it, plus coming up with the rules fresh out the box, yeah, kudos to you and your team, man. I've never had to do that before. That's something I don't want to be part of. I don't want to start like writing rules, regulations, specifications, time limits. I don't want to be the guy to do that. Like that's too much. There's too much work involved with that. But yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the nature of running a business is sadly a lot of the time it's doing the unsexy stuff, right?
Yeah. Sadly, you can't escape it. Sadly, but I'm gonna transition right into this next one, which is something I'm curious to know. You already hit on it while you were speaking earlier, so I just feel this is a very good segue. Dembe fighters, right? When you came to Abuja, we had the whole thing with Body Rocks. Your guys came in with the vehicles all decked out. That's the packaging skill I was telling you about. Like and that's for me. I'll share a personal detail with you. That session at the gym was my most memorable moment about your King of Warriors event, because for me, the ultimate goal is being able to change people's lives. My personal motto, my personal mantra is turning fighters into professional athletes. I want fighting to give other people coming after me what I've gotten and way more, in terms of the money, in terms of the responsibility, the personal development. And I saw that happen that day at Body Rocks. I saw guys guys that possibly maybe don't get as much respect as the regular guy who went to school or who has a 9-to-5 job. Maybe they are used to not be coming into the big city and being recognized for what they do. Maybe people look at them and say that they don't have a future. They are upstarts. They are this, they are that. But I saw these guys walk in, and I saw, most of all, the most important thing? They had fun. They were happy. They were playing. They were enjoying themselves. And I'm like, yeah, this is something I can be a part of. We're always thinking about saying, oh, how can we change Nigeria? How can we? I don't believe in changing anything. I believe in changing yourself. But at the very least, if you were to point at somebody or something that made you feel like, oh, there's hope, Hope that's what I got from that day. So please, if you don't mind, man, how do Dembe fighters train?
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Thank you for saying that. And I think it's something that is very close to my heart in terms of, look, the honest truth is, right, I'm in African Warriors to build a business. I think this can be a huge, exciting business, and we're very much there. It's not an NGO. I won't pretend it is. But it's a beautiful thing to be able to build something that has real social value, something that you're actually really changing lives, and you're working with people who a lot of the time are on the margins of society, a lot of the time have been forgotten, a lot of the time people are not looking at the value they offer society and the world around them. And it's a beautiful thing in that we've been able to unlock that. Going to the mud house that coronavirus grew up in with 11 of his siblings and his mum who's under 40, and understanding the background these guys are coming from, and then thinking, okay, let me give this guy the biggest stage possible. Let me help unlock new opportunities. Let me change this guy's life in terms of what he's seeing and what he's experiencing. So it's a beautiful thing, and it's something that I take very seriously. So I'm happy to hear that it made an impact on you. In terms of how they train, so Dambe is almost like it's an apprenticeship in many cases. So fighters fight for 3 houses. So depending on where you're born in Nigeria, you're born into a house. The 3 houses of Dambe are Kudu, Gudumada, and Arawa, aka Jamus. So depending on which state you're born into one of those houses. Those houses are set, but there have been some outlier cases of fighters changing houses. But by and large, where you're born into that house, you can't change. And fighters start, it's almost like, as I said, like an apprenticeship system, in that they start as very young boys, where their primary job is just soaking up the sport. They're running errands for senior fighters. They're just understanding, they're watching, going to fetch water, doing all of those things. And for a fighter, you'll see that a lot of the fighters, their names are Shagon something. Shagon is a mark of respect for the fighter that you came up under. So when you become Shagon, if I'm to say I'm Shagon Jollof, that means Jollof was my coach, or at least a pivotal figure in my journey as a fighter. So now I'm Shagon Jollof, so I represent you every time I fight. So that's the process before the training process even starts, in that they just are coming up, soaking it up. And then when it comes to day-to-day training, it's very typical, quite similar to other combat sports. And I think a really beautiful thing about Dambe is I've seen directly in the time since we founded African Warriors, the revolution in terms of how fighters approach it. So before, you would see a lot of fighters who are just fighting part-time. He would just come, roll up, do what he needs to do, and then go back to his farm or go back to his bus that he was driving. And it's always that, and that's happened for years across combat sports, where you have guys who are like, look, I need to make enough money in this thing to be able to do it. And now we've got real athletes emerging in Dambe. We have guys who train properly and train well, running every day, sparring, shadow boxing, footwork drills, all of these things. And we're doing a lot to really work with these fighters on that kind of thing. And that's why sessions like what we did at Body Rocks, collaborating with the MMA community, really having, that sort of cross training and sort of cross selling of techniques and things that we can do is important. But yeah, typical Dambe fighter, weightlifting is coming in it's coming in more, especially with the higher weight classes. I see a lot of sparring, and they spar quite well in terms of, low impact sparring. They're not trying to knock each other out. Running, of course, your cardio is important. So I would say sort of quite typical in terms of training. I just think it looks different because you have that one hand focus. So as such, they have to really dial that up and reflect that in their training.
Well, something I find interesting is you don't, but like when I think of Dembe, you don't normally think of Dembe as a low impact sport. You wouldn't think that, like, and I think, admittedly, for me, that's ignorance. Like, I imagine when they train, and this is from my experience working with, like, unfortunately, I'll just have to say it, like, the boxing community, is different parts of the boxing community. They have
I
very
think it's a
little.
Nigeria problem. Sorry to cut you off, but I've
Yeah,
noticed
yeah,
that
man.
people don't spar well in Nigeria. Like
No,
I've been
people
in
don't.
sparring, and I'm like, bro, this is sparring. You don't kill your like
Yeah,
I've seen it,
people don't.
but I think
People
the
don't.
difference is the average Dambe fighter fights 10 times more than any boxer.
Hmm.
And like genuinely, most of these
Mm-hmm.
guys grew up fighting multiple times a week. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
almost it's like Muay Thai, right? So if you look at Muay
yeah,
Thai
yeah.
fighters, they are known for sparring very softly and training
True,
because they fight so much.
true.
So I just think it comes out. So you know what I mean? If it's like you're fighting once every few months, your
Mm-hmm.
time in the gym is the time you can prove that you're the man. A
Mm-hmm,
Dambe
mm-hmm.
fighter, you can spar and then we'll meet each other in the arena that week. So there's no need for for too much
But
craziness.
to
I
be
think.
doing to be doing forming chairman in the gym. But yeah,
Mhm.
that makes me happy because and I wrote it down while you were speaking, man. So marketing and promoting these guys, like, what do you, I know, because I know you're a brilliant guy, so I know you've thought about it. Like, all these guys have stories, really,
Mm,
and I'm
mm,
big on stories. All of them have crazy ass like, you see how casually you just said this guy grew up in a thatched hut with 9 siblings and a mother under 40. Isn't that mad?
mhm.
Like,
It's
and
crazy.
he's now fighting Dembe and getting streamed online, and the stake.com
Mhm.
he's wearing stake.com on his shirt. What do you have in mind regarding marketing and promoting these guys as products? Since they are athletes, if you're an athlete, your body is your office. So
Mm.
how do we market these guys appropriately?
Yeah. It's a very fair point, and it's something that we do a lot on in terms of ensuring that, and there's more to come. So I'm not saying that we're doing the best job or we're sort of doing our ideal job, um, but yeah, it's just telling these stories. Um, like you have the odds these guys are facing, like like the struggles these guys are facing. This isn't some guy who grew up in the hood in America or Europe. This is a guy who literally, if he wasn't fighting Dambe, he could be in Boko Haram. He could be a
Mhm, mhm.
terrorist. If he wasn't fighting Dambe, he could be a bandit. He could be kidnapping
Exactly.
people.
True.
And this is the reality of the situation. So for us, it's just telling that story. So coronavirus is somebody that I'm very hot on. I love his fighting style. Excuse me. I love his fighting
Bless you.
style. He's exciting. And he's just a good guy. And as I said, like he comes from a family of 11. He's a second child. They all live in a one-room sort of a mud hut, basically in a village outside of Kanu. And he's now become this big name in Dambe, and he's been able to provide for his family through Dambe. I think that's a
Wow.
beautiful thing. And I think that's a testament to the work that we're doing and the social value we're creating. So we just need to tell that people need to see that. People need to understand that this is where we're coming from. This is where these guys are coming from. The name warrior is earned. And it's like you don't just prove yourself to be a warrior on the arena or in the arena. You prove yourself to be a warrior based on the life you're living.
True.
Who's a bigger warrior? Who can talk that they're warrior past somebody who grew up inside bush,
True.
came, you know what I mean? Like grew up without
True.
shoes and is now a fighter, well-respected Dambe
True.
fighter, one of the toughest combat sports in the world. That's a warrior. And we just need to tell that story. And we need to so we don't even need to do too much. That's a beautiful thing, right? We don't need to do too much in terms of crafting narratives and doing this and that. Just showcase the reality of these guys' lives.
And you're correct, man. Nigeria is a story already. Like, Nigeria just churns out Hollywood scripts every day, just the lives everybody is living. And yeah, because I watched Corona, like, and he was one of the people that put on an entertaining, like a really entertaining bout at the King of Warriors event. So Yeah, man. Thank you for giving that light. I hope these guys' stories get told more. I hope you guys really give them like that shine. Give and the ones that don't know how to use Instagram, teach them. The ones that don't have Facebook, teach them. Like let them, because people, you it will surprise you how far they will go if they have some push. So yeah, man.
Mm.
But at the same
No,
time, man,
there's more to come. There's more to come.
yeah,
100%.
yeah, definitely, definitely. All right, I'm hopping up to the next question, Mr. Maxwell, because I don't want to take too much of your time this morning, even though I thought you are sort of at my mercy as long as this stream is live. So just bear with me for now. So yeah, the next thing, stake.com. You guys are involved with Stake now. I imagine that will grow the brand, that will create opportunities, that will put a lot of shine in terms of eyes that can appreciate the hard work and that the athletes and your brand, everything, just making everything come together. I imagine. But let me hear it from the horse's mouth himself. How did this come about? What does it mean for your organization, and where are we going?
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It means great things for the organization. It came together quite organically. Stake are a big sponsor of sport, especially combat sport. They've been involved with the UFC for a long time. They sponsor Israel Adesanya as well personally. They've done some stuff with Sadiq Yusuf and other people. So they love combat sports, and more they're interested in Africa. So I think they were just looking for different properties that would allow them to generate more traction across Africa, and African Warriors came up. Uh, so it's an exciting thing for both of us. It allows us to, it validates what we're doing in terms of we're working with one of the biggest companies globally to push this thing, and it gives them a foothold on the continent. So it's very exciting for both parties. We're super excited. Stake have been a great partner and continue to be. And yeah, we're looking forward to continuing to grow the relationship. And yeah, so I can't say anything bad about it. Stake are great. Shout out to the whole team there. Yeah, happy days, really.
I love that, man. I love it. Does Stake have any partnerships with any other combat sports organizations in the continent of Africa?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of. All right, but silent flex, silent flex, silent flex. Okay, all right then. The next one, please. What is your vision for the sport of Dambe in Nigeria? You personally, what do you, when you see the future that you're creating in your head, how do you see it going? No issues, no. Sorry, I think my inverter, my inverter is making noise. But yeah, what's your vision for the sport of Dambe in Nigeria?
My vision for the sport of Dambe. So we're talking particularly Nigeria, right? We're not talking beyond the shores of our great country.
Nigeria.
Yeah. So my vision for is seeing Dambe receive the prominence it deserves. This is already, and what a lot of people don't understand is Dambe has a big claim to being the second most popular sport in Nigeria after football. So nobody can beat football, we know that. Well, Dambe is the only sport in this country that every single day thousands of people are paying money to go and watch. No other sport can say that. Football can't say it. Football can say that they have millions, tens of millions of people watching, but in terms of carrying their two legs to go and watch, nobody else can do that. So I just want to see Dambe receive the prominence it deserves. I said it before, local is not a bad thing. A lot of us Nigerians consider local to be at locale. You know what I mean? We're international, where this is a beautiful thing. We have a culture, we have a sport steeped in history, steeped in culture that has a real huge social impact. So I just want this thing to continue growing. I see Dambe packing out arenas. We need Dambe specific infrastructure. We need to give the fighters the opportunity to showcase their skills to tens of thousands of Nigerians each time. So I just want to see it receive the prominence it deserves. And we're getting there. We just wrapped up an event in Kanu, the Emirs Cup.
I was seeing that online.
So to people watching who are not familiar, the Emir of Kanu is a very important figure. Kanu is an ancient city-state, pretty much the center of northern Nigeria, the second biggest city in Nigeria after Lagos. So the Emir, the Kanu Emirate goes back, I think, to the 10th century. And the Emir is the traditional cultural custodian, traditional ruler of that city. So the emir is huge significance and is a very important figure to the people of Kanu. And we collaborated with the Kanu Emirates. We collaborated with Legacy of Traditions, which is a festival celebrating the culture of Kanu, to deliver the inaugural Emir's Cup. So the Emir of Kanu himself came, which is a feat in itself. The Emir doesn't just go anywhere. Came, presented the trophy to the winner, presented prizes to the winner. And what that means in terms of my vision for Dambe, it means that we are getting there. This is the very top of the totem pole of Northern Nigerian culture. So to have the Emir support, embrace this sport, embrace what we're doing with African Warriors, just shows that we're delivering on that vision of taking this thing to the highest levels of Nigeria.
Man, the thing is, when you start to marry technology with culture, with the competition of the sport, magical things can start to happen. You'll start to see personalities that you never even thought, collaborations that you never thought could happen will start to happen. And yeah, man, like once again, kudos to you and your team, my bro. Kudos to you and your
crazy.
team.
And I'll tell you even a personal story, if you don't mind.
No, I'm with you.
So I'm Igbo, as you know, but my family has generations in Kanu. So my dad was actually born in Kanu. My grandfather worked in Kanu for a long time. So my grandfather worked in the Emir's palace under the current Emir's father.
Wow.
So it's a real sort of crazy circle moment.
Yeah.
In that my grandfather worked in the Emir's palace as a plumber. And we now came back how many generations later to deliver an event in the Emir's palace with the son of the Emir that my grandfather worked under.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
that's
crazy,
crazy. These are the things that make you stare at the stars at night and be thinking about your life. You're just like, what's all this? Is this? Man, I'm happy to hear that. All right, Mr. Maxwell. So we're having technical difficulties. There hasn't been electricity in Abuja. Combat culture. This is Nigeria. Third world country, Africa, my people. We're not
move to Lagos. You don't want to come.
on
You're
no
scared
fake
of
packaging
traffic.
here. There hasn't been. I don't like traffic. I don't like the madness. I like peace of mind. I like being able to train every day. I like being able to run on the streets. I like peace. That's why I'm in Abuja. And Abuja needs me. Abuja needs me way more than Lagos does. You guys have Lagos has you. Lagos has all these people. But yeah, man, there hasn't been electricity since yesterday. So my inverter just ran out of power. It was supposed to be a labor of faith to try to get through this podcast with 1 hour without the power running out, but it's already sending me notifications. So, Mr. Maxwell, can I get a commitment from you that once I'm able to reschedule this, me and you reconnect again anytime between today and next Sunday? Yeah. So, but
man, just anything you need.
Okay,
let me know
problem,
when I'll
man.
be here.
Yeah, please give shout outs. Where can people find you? How can people reach you? Your social media. Plug it all in, please.
Yeah. Follow us at African Warriors Fighting Championship, Facebook, YouTube at African Warriors FC, Kick streaming, Instagram, TikTok. Check us out on Kick for live events, for exclusive content, for a bunch of things. Young Jollof, you'll be telling them more about that soon. But yes, just follow the movement. Follow the movement. We have exciting things coming up. There's a lot we're working on. We are cooking up a whole bunch of things in the lab. So get involved.
All right, man. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna complete this. We still have quite a few more things to go through. But we'll get it done when our environment isn't trying to slow us down. All right. So this has been Combat Culture Africa. As usual, on the microphone is Oche Young Fedache. Please follow us at Combat Culture Africa on Instagram. Send us an email, combatcultureafrica@gmail.com. You can send me an email at thenigeriannerd@gmail.com. And we hope you have an amazing week. We love you all, and peace.
Thank you.
All right. I think we can